Nor was the Pathan exactly chivalrous in his treatment of women. The kidnapping of Molly Ellis in 1923 was a notorious and sensational case in point. Sir Olaf Carow, who was then a junior political officer, recalls the background to the case.
The tribe had been giving trouble. They'd shot across the road. There was a pass through tribal territory called the Pass of Afridi. And they had been giving trouble in the Kohat district and in the Shah district. And we knew this section had been giving, it was called Khel, and we knew their village. And a column front of a constabulary, backed by a certain number of troops, went and raided the village. You can't raid, you see. Took some hostages and captured some rifles. And the people who had been attacked in the village made this counterattack on Kohat district and murdered Mrs. Ellis and carried off her daughter.
I'd been with my friends in the club, as usual, just reading books and things one does in the evening, looking at the papers. And I came home, had supper with my mother, and read a bit more in the evening, and then we went to bed. And how long after, I don't know, but I was aware of being woken up by my mother calling for me. And two men, I could just see them in the room because they had on a light, a hurricane lamp, which I could just see there was. And my mother was fighting against them because they were trying to, well, I think, take her away. I couldn't actually see, but I sensed that. And she also had a whistle so she could blow for a warning. And she said she hadn't got it and would hand it to me, but I never got it. So I don't know what happened. And she went on struggling for some time, and I did too, and I finally kicked out a light, but another one appeared, and by that time my mother had stopped struggling, so I realized she must have been badly hurt, because I could see the man now with another light and holding a dagger.
That man was an Afridi named Ajab Khan, who always claimed that Mrs. Ellis had struggled and that he had killed her by mistake. But the kidnapping of a 17-year-old British girl by Pathans, let alone the murder of her mother, was enough to send shockwaves reverberating throughout the empire. Although she suspected that her mother was dead, Molly Ellis did not believe that she herself was in great danger.
They treated me very well. I mean, there was no case... I didn't think once we got out of the bungalow, that they were going to kill me then at all. There was no indication whatever.
Until they could arrange for the demanded ransom to be paid over, her captors had to keep on the move, slipping from one hiding place in the mountains to another.
We moved every night as soon as it was dark, and went to some point which they'd obviously were making for. And generally, they managed to get some food from their local, well, because they were in tribal territories and they had all their various friends.
Tirana Dara Olewa Karnil Tupi Marka. Biagana Bad Risale Wali Shavi Iwabalano Chapa Washupa Busti Khilobande. Ajab Khan Sari Butulu. Shubutulu Gana Pasla Bia the Naziana Ajab Khan Duroglu, or partner Iwami Mamrasa Pagalatea Wala Wivara was Tadas Dara, Suri Kikena. Raise the Tirakra Biara Kuzashwa Delta, Tiro Kuzashwano Shwa Cake, Biscuit, Shavdem, Veta Melov, Museum, that's it also Sanihelo Dara Vetayai, Sanihelo Dara, Pagetosha Darana, Sanihelo Budari Lora, Tirala Lora, Mahmuda Honda Jumat Lavara Sedala, Akikat Dasidaba.
When the British authorities learned where Molly was, efforts were made by the Chief Commissioner on the frontier, Sir John Maffei, to get in touch. Eventually, she learned that negotiations were underway.
The following day, I did get a hamper of clothes with letters saying that there was someone in the mullah's house about 8 or 10 miles away, and they were negotiating. And that gave me great hope. In fact, very soon after that, that evening, they made me dress in the clothes, and we set off out of the village, and we waited outside until after midnight, and then they carried me the whole way that night, but it wasn't so very far, about, I think 8 to 10 miles. And then I found myself in the mullah's house of the main village.
At this village, the rescue party, led by a redoubtable mission nurse named Lillian Starr, negotiated for her release. Nurse Starr was well known and respected by the Pathans, and it was rightly felt that she would be allowed to proceed into tribal areas where no European male would have dared to set his foot. The negotiations were successful. After 8 days in captivity, a tired and bewildered Molly was handed over. The ransom was paid, and Ajab Khan disappeared across the border into Afghanistan, leaving those who had shown him hospitality to face the wrath of the British authorities.
ملا تکلیف په دې ورسېده چې دا د بو پالاکې دا زه راغله دلته د راشپه چې هغې مې وویل چې د دې دانه ماله شودې میلاو دي بسکوټ میلاو شوي دي بندوبست دی نه چې ماله وشو نو زه تیراله په ارام ورسېدم مولا په هغې تکلیف ورسېد عجب خان مو دوست و